How do you know when a relationship is difficult, different, dysfunctional, or downright destructive? Well, hey, my friend, my name is Kris Reece, and I want to welcome you back to another edition of the Building Faith podcast, where it is my hope to bring you biblical solutions to life's tough challenges. So if you are not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification button. There are clear signs that can indicate that you're in a toxic relationship. And I'm not just referring to romantic relationships. I'm talking about any person that you are trying to have a healthy, godly connection with. Parent, partner, pastor, coworker, or friend. If you have to relate to them, you have to be able to discern the difference. And hopefully you know that issues like abuse, infidelity, substance abuse, being secretive, those are all examples of toxic behavior. But what about the less obvious ones? The ones that leave you feeling like you're going crazy, but you just can't put your finger on it. So today I want to talk to you about 8 relationship red flags that no Christian should ignore. But before we dive in, I just want to say that there is a difference between troubled and toxic. Troubled can play out in a difference of opinions, personalities, even a difference in values. And troubled people can have difficulty in regulating their emotions, and they likely struggle with past and current triggers, and many of them you'll find are emotionally immature. And while toxic people can mimic those same struggles, the difference is it doesn't end there. And while we do want to extend the same grace to troubled people that God extended to us, we also want to discern if we're trying to treat a wolf as a sheep. So let's dive in. Relationship red flag number 1 is manipulative.
If you've forgiven me, you'd back off. You can't leave. If you leave, I'm going to hurt myself. I don't know why you just can't trust me.
When a person is manipulative, they have only one thing on their mind. How can I get my needs met? It's self-serving, but sly. And manipulation can be in the form of guilt, anger, and passive aggressiveness, and even scripture twisting. And if someone responds with rage when you question them, they are trying to manipulate you into backing down. And the same is true for the even more toxic form of passive aggressiveness. You see, behind the mask, passive aggressive people are extremely manipulative. They pretend to be one thing while scheming to change your behavior to suit their agenda. And their intent is to deceive you. And when caught, they will often say things like, I was only joking, just to deflect from their true motives. Red flag number 2, you're walking on eggshells.
You see, it wasn't just what you said, it was how you said it. So now the whole night's ruined. Thanks a lot. Why do you have to breathe so loudly? It's disturbing to me.
In healthy relationships, there is a free flow of behaviors and communication that's kind of easy to navigate, well, for the most part. But in eggshell relationships, there is a considerable care to avoid upsetting the other person. And this often creates a dynamic of codependency as you're constantly watching and alert for how this person feels and behaves so that you can navigate without upsetting them. Sound tense? It is. People that make you walk on eggshells are controlling people that target the mental and emotional well-being of another person while trying to subdue them. And if you are constantly scared to bring something up, if you're always trying to formulate what you say and how you say it, but constantly met with gaslighting, blame shifting, and utter disregard, my friend, you've crossed a serious relationship red flag. And if you find yourself a tiptoeer, I want you to be sure to check out my online course called Conquering Codependency Biblically. I'll include a link in the description section below. And relationship red flag number 3, you're being controlled.
I just do it because I love you. After all I've done for you, this is the least you could do for me.
Controllers aren't always overtly domineering people, the ones that we always think of. Many come in with these low-key tactics to make it difficult to detect their wicked ways. And make no mistake, my friend, it is wicked. Their behavior may come across as caring, but the slide to controlling is really quick. They abuse words like submission and honor and use them to suit their agenda. Controlling people can use guilt, manipulation, and punishment and domination to keep you in line, and they tend to micromanage. And 2 Timothy 3 reminds us to avoid such people. Relationship red flag number 4 is gaslighting.
I know what you think you saw, but that wasn't me. You're so sensitive, it's not that big of a deal.
Gaslighting is the intent to deceive, and gaslighters will deny, blame, or manipulate your thoughts and feelings with the intent to fool you. And this doesn't mean that everyone who denies what you say is gaslighting. There are times that simple misunderstandings and miscommunications take place. However, gaslighters know the truth, and their phrases and questions are designed to make you think you're losing your mind. And that's because you're told that your feelings and your experiences are wrong. And instead of getting bent out of shape that they don't see what you see, maybe it's time that you see what you're actually dealing with: a deceiver. Relationship red flag number 5. You're devalued.
If I want something done, clearly I've got to do it myself. You're going out looking like that? You are not even worth me responding to that.
In toxic relationships, your needs, opinions, and goals don't matter. And this person may support you as long as it doesn't interfere with their needs. And they may be on board with you until it disrupts them. Then you'll get met with teasing, insult, and guilt-ridden comments designed to put you back in your place. And devaluing can even play out in inconsistent behavior, where they say one thing and do another, or they help one minute and hurt the next. Relationship red flag number 6. They're isolating you.
Don't you dare share what we're going through with someone. Are you trying to make me look bad?
If you're told that you can't get help or you're betraying the family, my friend, you're in a toxic, isolating situation. Whether it's your spouse saying, don't you dare share what we're going through, or your parent that says nothing leaves the family, you feel trapped because getting help means that you're betraying this person, the very person that's actually hurting you. And the goal of wanting to be the patient spouse or their honoring child is now being used against you. But Scripture tells us to expose evil works of darkness. And toxic people don't want their deeds exposed because they don't want to be challenged to change. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to expose this. I don't mean you go posting it on Facebook or make it a Sunday morning announcement, but go get the help that you need from a trusted advisor. Grab a godly friend, a trusted counselor, or a reliable pastor, whoever you need to help you get the right perspective about what's right and what's wrong. My friend, what's your responsibility and what's theirs? You can't go it alone when in a toxic relationship, and isolation is a breeding ground for the works of darkness. Relationship red flag number 7. They disregard your boundaries.
I know you wanted to be alone, but I need something. But I'm your mother.
Boundaries indicate where one person ends and the other begins. But in toxic relationships, there is an expectation of enmeshment. And often under the guise of love and care, toxic people have little in the way of boundaries themselves. So when you try to set one, you're going to be labeled as uncaring, unloving, and selfish. And if you're having trouble setting and keeping boundaries, be sure to check out this episode right here when we're finished. And relationship red flag number 8. Their responses are toxic.
What do you mean you're going out with your friends? Don't you love me? Why can't you just drop it?
Look, we all make mistakes. We all, at some point or another, say something offensive or do something selfish. But the response to that wrongdoing can actually be the difference between a mistake and malicious, troubled and toxic. And if you're struggling with insecurity and you go to your spouse and you're met with this onslaught of accusations and verbal assaults, raise the red flag, my friend. It's probably toxic. And if you're constantly stonewalled by your mother when you don't obey her, and in letting her know how that makes you feel, you're met with deflection, blaming, ridicule, gaslighting, it is toxic. And the biggest area that someone gets tripped up is in those titles: partner, parent, pastor. My friend, these people should have your best interests at heart. These people should be your safe place. So when they don't, and they're not, it can actually throw you for a loop. But just remember, we're not called to know them by their title. We're called to know them by their fruit. So does this mean that you have to leave the relationship? Well, of course not. But before you go putting all of your emotional eggs in someone else's basket, I want you to remember Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart. So what do you think so far? What are some relationship red flags that you've encountered? And being in toxic relationships for any significant length of time can actually develop into a form of codependency. It's like you can't be okay unless they change their behaviors. You see, codependency says if you're okay, I'm okay. If you're not okay, I'm not okay. So I need you to change so I can be okay. My friend, this is not okay. So I want to invite you to check out my online course called Conquering Codependency Biblically. I'll go ahead and include a link in the description section below. And if you've ever wondered what the signs are of a covert narcissist, go ahead and check out this episode next. And while you're here, I want to invite you to grab a copy of our free Toxic People's Survival Guide. It is my free gift to you to help you identify and deal with all of the difficult people in your life. I will go ahead and include a link in the description section below.